the 5. So last night, President Trump released his fake news awards. It's like the Oscars without the molesters. Paul Krugman won big for saying the stock market would collapse instantly under Trump. The stock market gained 40% since then. But that's not the real point. Trump not only held Krugman accountable for his idiocy, he turned the reveal into a much anticipated event, which is great. Krugman is treated among his peers like some moronic oracle immune to reality. Trump proves otherwise. There were other winners, but you probably already know them, since, get this, the press had to cover it. It's genius. Trump got the media to cover their own screw-ups. And it's a good thing. The media gets stories wrong, not because they lie, but by rushing to judgment. They adjust facts in order to fit their biases. If the square peg doesn't fit the round hole, simply shave off the edges. Take Trump's so-called attack on the press and the flaky fallout. They say he called the press the enemy of the people. But if you look around, he was actually saying fake news. By conflating fake news with the whole press, that criticizing their errors was criticizing all of them. It's actually the media smearing the media. They do this with everything, including even terror. If you criticize radical Islam, the media calls you Islamophobic, for they claim that you're actually knocking the whole religion. Likewise, point out the mistakes the press makes, and you're knocking a whole religion too. It's a shame. We could all use healthy criticism. The media should be thanking Trump for it. He's making them great again, whether they like it or not. You know what, Kimberly? The thing I liked about this, he rolled this out.
Clive.
What?
Oh, sorry, Clive.
Yes, Clive.
I like you said Clive Owen and Kimberly Guilfoyle.
He did two things that I thought were brilliant. He rolled it out after the physical. So after they went nuts, the press went nuts about the physical, he gave them their physical, and he made people wait for it. So it was like at nighttime, and finally when he tweeted it, everybody goes crazy and it's trending. It was a perfect showman kind of thing.
Yes, I think it felt more like a colonoscopy. And CNN, the big winner, ladies and gentlemen, yes, with the Tacoma 4 awards. But this is President Trump owning it, saying, okay, this is what I've been saying about the press, and now I'm going to mock them and have fun. It's totally consistent with his personality, the way that he does things. People enjoyed it, and let's be honest, look what he did. He crashed a website. Yeah. Very similar to what happened with Obamacare website. Boom, it's down. So it shows
Except Trump didn't pay $4 billion for the website.
Yes, indeed, it did. One tweet and went out. So people are looking forward to this. You can take it in, good humor. Feeling good about Fox News right now because we fared well. This is part of his personality.
That is true. It's amazing how Fox News didn't end up on that list.
Aren't we great?
Yes.
If anybody was going to get an award, I wonder who it would have been.
Juan, in the green room, you said, in the green room, I thought it was really nice of you to say, I'm really glad we have this list to see where the press goes wrong. Yeah. Good for Trump.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure I said that. More fake news.
Oh, my God. I was like, yeah, was that a ventriloquist? I'm sure it wasn't Juan Williams.
But they were legitimate errors. If you read the list, they were legit.
But it's like, what does this add up to? What does it mean? Jimmy Kimmel, I think, says this is the Stupid People's Choice Awards, right?
Oh, but that's insulting.
No, because I think the late night comedians are on this because they wanted in on it. They wanted to win, right? Stephen Colbert took out that ad, the billboard in Times Square, and for your consideration, Mr. President. Yeah. So, but I think if you look at this from my perspective, gosh, the press looks so good. They corrected all these mistakes. There were retractions. People got fired.
Why did they do that?
Well, because they're wrong. And
no,
when
they
people
didn't want to be proven wrong by Trump. It's the prove wrong Trump theory.
Talk about you trying to prove that you're right. You're so wrong here. If a journalist makes a mistake and owns up to it, that's bad.
They only did it because they were tired of hearing Trump.
Well, no, because it's such a shame waterfall.
It
is a shame waterfall.
I'll tell you what's a shame waterfall. How about 2,000 lies in 1 year? Is that a shame waterfall?
You ought to know.
I know, because I hear all his lies, and sometimes you guys repeat them. There we go.
By the way, Dana, I once tried the waterfall in Vegas. And I'm telling you, it took me hours to get it out of my clothes.
That wasn't water.
Oh, my God. You've even ruined my little...
Which hotel is that? Which hotel?
I can't name names. Shouldn't the media take this to heart? Isn't Trump helping them?
Well, judging by their paid subscriptions, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's doing better. And I think Chris Wallace, who gave a really good speech, I can't remember what the venue was, but it was about the media and covering the president. And it was one of those things where it looked like he was really sympathetic with the press corps, and then he turned and said, on the other hand, don't get so passionate and involved. I was going to say that there was an example here. Yes, okay, this one. Zeke Miller of Time Magazine, he genuinely felt horrible about getting it wrong, that the reporting that President Trump had the bust of Martin Luther King Jr. removed from the Oval Office. He paid a big price for it. He felt shame for it. He apologized. He corrected it. And I thought it was kind of a bummer that he got listed on here because he was genuinely sorry.
Yeah, you got the busts wrong. Jesse.
You've never done that.
No, I know. Would you like to comment on Jim Acosta's response, or would you like to just comment overall right now?
I'll do both.
Okay.
Jim Acosta?
Jim Acosta has responded to this fake news.
Oh, my God.
Awards.
Having been called fake news myself, that the President of the United States is the king of fake news. I don't want people to think that I'm saying that because, I've got an axe to grind, or I'm here to criticize or be political or have an agenda or whatever you were saying earlier. It's just a fact. It's unfortunate that the president has sunk to that level where he has to go around issuing these kinds of awards. It's just not like what you would think would happen in this country.
That's my favorite part. It wouldn't happen.
Country.
Yeah.
I have one thing to say to Acosta. Out. Remember you got booted from the White House the other day for asking a question? And you know what? He did. He walked away in shame. So it's funny to hear CNN talk about what a fact is, considering they got 4 awards. Not fake news, very fake news. That's how they have the moniker. Juan, I was disappointed. I thought you were going to get one. I thought you got robbed, actually. I nominated you for a few. Maybe next year.
You got the big man's ear, so I'm really disappointed because I had an inside voice working for me.
I know.
And I still can't
It was
win.
between you and Sanjay Gupta. It was a toss-off, and either of you guys got it.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you that where's the minority presence on this?
Well, he's racist. That's why. It's about race. Why? You know what it is.
You want to be on there? Oh, my God.
You know what? He doesn't know, but I'm Norwegian. I could have been me.
I thought you were Panamanian.
No. And build a wall, Kimberly. Build a wall. We need a wall.
What's going on here?
By the way, let me get this straight.
Yes.
You think it's great when the President of the United States is kicking reporters out of the White House?
After he answered the question, and you say, go.
Let me just say this.
I don't think Obama ever fielded a quick question in one of those moments. They wrapped him up, threw him right out.
I know seriousness is something you're allergic to, but it's terrible. I know, but it's terrible that the President of the United States is behaving like an autocrat and saying, oh, reporters are scurrilous and scandalous and wrong. What do you think? The president,
autocrat,
our president, should be behaving this way? It's fine for him
because he
to
said
have a
leave
give and go
because
with
that
the
wasn't
press.
a time for questions. He just gave like a 45-minute briefing to these reporters when he was walking on the South Lawn a couple weeks ago. What more do you want, Juan?
I tell you what, maybe a helicopter so we don't even hear any more of his lies.
Trump treats the media like flies buzzing around his ears. That's what
I also think that he utilizes his access to the media very well, given that, as you started out saying, that everybody covered the fake news awards. And I think maybe going into the second year of the presidency, everyone can just have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Right? Not overreact necessarily. You got to cover the stuff that he's tweeting and things like that, but just not overreact.
Yeah. Did any of you see what New York Times did today? They published letters from Donald Trump supporters. Is this
with nice pictures?
Yeah, very nice. Is this meant, Kimberly, as some kind of olive branch to say, hey, these are the people we've ignored for so long? Or do you think they're setting it up for the next day where they find Trump voters who don't like Trump?
Well, perhaps that is more Machiavellian, so therefore I like it. I mean, look, full of surprises, why not? I think perhaps I'll go with the latter.
What about, do you think it was more like a carnival attraction, Juan? Hey, let's look at these freaks who voted for Trump, and they probably don't, the rubes who don't even know what Whole Foods are?
Well, if that's the case, they failed, because I thought the letters made the case pretty strongly for why people felt Trump was doing a good job. So they felt, I mean, these are smart people. I don't think that you could be described to these people in any way as deplorables. These are people who made the case, and the New York Times gave them a platform. So I just think I'm going to go with goodwill here and say that it was an opportunity for them to say, join the debate. We want to hear from people who have a different point of view.
Let's hope so.
Jesse?
Yeah, I respect that the Times did that. And I think the two takeaways from the letters that I saw were that the Trump supporters were willing to kind of cast aside the chaos and the brash style if the policies were good. And also, the press hating Trump actually makes the Trump voters like Trump more.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's true with me. I mean, it had a definite effect on me, Dana. When I saw the antipathy just get so much, I go like, okay, this can't be right. It can't be real. You can you can dislike somebody, but to paint him as Hitler, then it's insane. Then you realize something's wrong.
Like the overreaction thing.
Yeah,
but I think the New York Times did it with all sincerity, because I do believe that they genuinely want to understand. Like why won't people,
like anthropologists?
Yeah, they really want to understand. Like, why would I was on the Upper East Side last night, and you heard
Must be
from
nice.
people that they don't understand. And one of the things that this does is that it talks about the voters, not him. And that I think all of those letters were very, very good. If you haven't read them yet, go on the website and check them out, because it will give you, if you don't like the president, you can read those through and go, okay, I understand why they do.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing to consider in this is, don't forget that this same week, you had Jeff Flake, the senator from Arizona, you had John McCain, another senator from Arizona, both say this president is behaving with regard to the press in a way that undermines democracy.
Yeah,
that's a pretty serious message
Flake
coming
lied.
from fellow Republicans.
We now know that Flake lied.
Oh, why is that?
Because he said that Donald Trump said the press is a threat to the American people. He said fake media, fake news media.
Yeah.
That's quite a distinction.
Well, but I think that in a way
I don't think he lied. He
that
was mistaken.
But also, I think that fake news would mean something that was wrong, like in the awards.
Right.
But then there are things that are true that seems unfavorable or negative to the president. That's also been called fake news.
Well, you know what? We'll have to leave it there. I'm Clive Owen. Ahead, no wall, no deal, says the president. So will the government shut down on Saturday morning? That's next.
I really believe the Democrats want to shut down, get off the subject of the tax cuts because they work so well. Nobody thought, including the Democrats, they could work this well. They've been so good that I think the Democrats would like to see us shut down in order to get off that subject. That is not a good subject for them, the tax cuts, because of the way they've worked.
Less than 48 hours until the government shuts down if a deal isn't struck on immigration. President Trump maintains there will be no deal if there is no wall. His chief of staff, John Kelly, suggested last night there might not be a wall along the entire Mexican border as initially stated.
There's been an evolutionary process that the president has gone through as a campaign, and I pointed out to all of the members that were in the room that they all say things during the course of campaigns that may or may not be fully informed. Once we briefed him when I was at DHS and told him that the real experts on defending the southwest border, the Customs and Border Protection men and women, came in, did a survey of the border. There are places where hydrographically, geographically, a wall would not be realistic. So he has evolved in the way he's looked at things.
Kelly said there could be fencing in some parts instead, and the president disagrees partially with his aide on the evolution claim. He says the wall is the wall. It has never changed or evolved from the first day I conceived of it. Parts will be of necessity see-through, and it was never intended to be built in areas where there is natural protection, such as mountains, wastelands, or tough rivers or water. Okay, so we're going to have a little debate around this table for a change. Psych. Dana, is it consistent, inconsistent with the campaign?
Well, I think that what General Kelly said last night was similar to what President Trump has been saying the last 6 weeks. I remember in particular first hearing them start to make the pivot, acknowledging that when you have these big ravines or canyons or impassable places that you don't actually need a physical structure there, and that they would be satisfied with border security money going for technologies like drones and such that the Customs and Border Patrol is using. So I didn't think what General Kelly said last night was a departure from what the president had said. I understand why the president might think, well, you can't say that I was uninformed on the campaign and want to push back on that. But strategically, General Kelly, I think, was trying to get President Trump to a place where when he says he'll take the heat for any deal that's coming down, that he would be able to do that because they're going to have to deal in some way with these Democrats.
Okay. All right, Griggins.
You know what? Why we did this segment a long time ago because I'm having a deja vu. Why did he win? His promise on a campaign always is a sell. You can't say, we're constructing a combination physical structure that has drones, cameras, and some fencing. No, if you're a salesman, you say 3 words. Build a wall. That's how you sell things. You don't go through this whole long description. Having said that, it is a long description. It will be a long description. Technology changes the definition of a wall. Ask any dog about a fence. Some of them are invisible.
Yep. Just me. All right, Jesse, do you see this as inconsistent in terms of when you compare what the president said during the campaign, what he's saying now, what John Kelly said on Rapper?
Kelly and Trump are on the same page, but Kelly used 2 words which were not helpful: evolved and uninformed. Politicians don't want to hear evolved. It evokes the flip-flopper, and it's a smooth way of saying you changed your position. It just wasn't a good word. Uninformed is almost worse in a way, because it makes the president look uninformed, and that's just not good. I'm surprised the chief of staff would say that on live television. With that said, everybody knows you're not going to put a wall in the Rio Grande. Everyone knows you're not going to build a wall over a mountainous region. Trump knows that. He's a developer. He's a builder. He's familiar with landscaping. It's clear. But what else is clear is the Democrats don't want a wall because they know walls work. And they are okay with an influx of people from the southern border coming into this country and gaining amnesty.
Okay. They've already voted for, but the Democrats twice in the last couple of years have already voted for border security that would include physical structures plus the technology. So we're actually arguing over something really stupid.
Oh.
Welcome to the
How about
five.
that?
Welcome to the five.
No, we're not arguing about it. The country is arguing.
We're smart.
We're very, very good.
We're offering in-depth analysis on a very stupid conversation.
And witty repartee from some members of the table. Okay, so Juan, what do you make of what Jesse said? I mean, what is the problem with Democrats and liberals that they just don't want this wall?
No, I think the wall is redundant at this point because, as we've just I keep repeating, you know, immigration crossing that southern border, 45-year low. I mean, and we've already invested money in this so-called virtual fence that you were talking about, Greg. So, I mean, but you know what? You got to do it. And I think Democrats are willing to make some concessions in order to get a deal. It's the president that's stopping everything. But what I love about this is he says it's about the military. How the military got this, I don't know. Or how about this one? All these immigrants, they're criminals. And you hear people say, oh, yeah, it's tied to terrorism. It's tied to crime. Just trying to justify something that lacks justification as a spending issue when conservatives are supposedly so concerned.
We did a story just yesterday about an illegal alien that shot 2 deputies.
Yeah, look, you can do it.
And was reported twice.
How many times a day do you want to do stories about American citizens who commit a crime? That's not the issue.
But they didn't illegally cross the border to do it.
Here's the thing that made news in my mind today. So we have some kind of a deal going forward, and you have Republicans negotiating with Republicans and try to get a deal to avoid the shutdown. What does Trump do? He comes out and says, no, child health protection is not supposed to be part of this deal. He absolutely throws his fellow Republicans under the bus. You guys ignore it.
But they fixed that by 2.
Yeah, they fix it. You watch them fix it. What you've got here is a war inside the Republican Party because Trump is not to be trusted by Republicans.
Oh, my God. But here's the best part of what you had to say, and it came in the first, 10, 15 seconds.
Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, you're tired of winning because you said that we don't need the wall because we're doing so well, and there's been such a manifest change in terms of how many people are coming in to this country. It's been a shutdown.
Because look, for several reasons. But I mean, for several reasons, including the fact that what we have now is people saying, you know what? The economies are doing better. Economy doing better. Economies around the world. We're doing better, so we don't need to come.
Oh wait, so that's what it is?
I think that's part of it.
Mexico's been made great again, so therefore they're
it's usually the opposite.
So Juan admitted the economy's doing well.
That is doing
all right.
Well. What's wrong with that?
I'm surprised to hear you say the Trump economy is doing well.
It is it's the American economy. I hate to break it to you.
Well, because of the tax breaks,
he's
got even better.
So you're saying he's making Mexico great again?
He's making everything.
Everyone's great again.
Everybody's
exactly.
As much as he's uninformed and evolving according to his own people.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's his own people talking, not me.
That is true.
We have to cut one off now. Tom Brokaw is warning for all those Democrats overconfident about winning back control of Congress in November. That's coming up next.
President Trump made a trip to Pennsylvania today to help support Republican Rick Saccone. He's running for Congress. A special election is coming up there in March.
I think he's going to do really well. He's a great guy. He loves this area, loves this country. I just said to him, I hope you're going to do as well. But we're here. We're going to be helping him. I'll be back for Rick, and we're going to fill up a stadium, and we're going to do something really special for Rick. I look forward to it.
The president doesn't want to lose any more seats in our nation's capital. Both parties are bracing for an intense midterm battle in November. Many Democrats are confident they're going to win back control of Congress. Tom Brokaw blowing some of wind in their sails. Ooh.
Democrats going into this year, if you're looking at what they're talking about right now, they think all they have to do is show up and they're going to get the congressional majority back again. They have a plan, and the plan is not to go hard left, by the way they're going to be led by Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders. They've got to have a scheme that addresses the old Democratic middle, the people who are the working class Democrats. And unless they get to that, they could get beat.
Tom Brokaw, I think he's right. You can't go into the midterms just expecting the wave to build. You got to figure out a way to build it yourselves. Do the Democrats have any message to do that?
Well, look at this race in Pennsylvania. It's getting so much attention right now. You've got someone who's a Marine veteran, former U.S. attorney, right? So the message that comes from the candidate is almost out of the Republican playbook, Dana, because what you're saying is to a rural district, I think they voted for Trump by like 20 points. You know what? Here's somebody who's going to represent your values. I think this is what we saw from Patty Schechter up in Wisconsin, who said, much to my amusement, at the top of her campaign material said, former member of the Bear Hunters Association in Wisconsin. So, I mean, what they're doing is saying, you know what, I care about the opioid crisis. I care about health care for seniors and delivering health care access to everyone. I care about people in this community. We're Democrats. And I think that's the message that's coming through from Conor Lamb. It came through from Patty Schechter. I think you're going to see more of this. It's ironic to me that the word in Washington is that Rick Saccone, is that how you say it? Saccone?
Yeah.
Is having trouble raising money because you have like the Ricketts family putting more than $1 million into this guy's campaign, Trump going out there. I think it's evidence of the high level of alarm right now in Republican ranks over the idea that Democrats are doing so well, and so many people are predicting, as Brokaw just said, a huge, maybe tidal wave for Democrats come November.
To Brokaw's point that about going to the left,
right?
If these people figure out a way to run as Democrats that are sort of middle of the road, blue-collar workers, if the National Party is going so far left into Bernie land.
Well, you know what it is? I think what Brokaw was saying was to resist the move towards socialism in one respect, but it's also about identity politics. I think what he's saying is you can't be a divisive party anymore. It didn't work. You can't just be stressing gender or skin color. You got to look at the Democrats as human beings, not male, female, black, white, gay, straight. You should be looking at them as Americans, because that's what worked for Trump, and that's something that they should really learn for. And I do think the Republicans should be taking this seriously, because they're seeing a lot of people retire. That doesn't help. So you're already starting in a hole. But this prediction of big wins could be wildly off, because people who vote for Trump or vote for Republicans often don't tell you that they are. And we've learned that lesson.
Well, that's actually repeated several times in the New York Times letters.
Yeah.
They're outing themselves like, there, I said it, I'm a Trump voter, and I'll get... I'll tell you one thing, though, Jesse, there's going to be a lot of money spent. The Republicans, I think, have like $85 million raised so far just for those races.
And they're going to need it, because I think they're down a lot. I spoke to a guy last night, off the record dinner at Oceana. He's very plugged into Pennsylvania politics, and he's a big Chamber of Commerce guy. And the people running in Pennsylvania, two types of candidates. There's a Trump candidate, and then there's your traditional conservative Republican candidate. And all the Chamber of Commerce money is going to the traditional Republican candidate, because they're worried about the Trump lights. Trump works because he's Trump. If you try to kind of be a Trump imitator, it doesn't always play, because it's only the Donald can pull off being himself. It's very risky to do it yourself. So I think if the money can get behind people, they're qualified, and don't make a lot of mistakes, the bloodbath's not going to be nearly as bad as it the Democrats are predicting it. The Democrats will probably nationalize the election and just go heavy negative against Donald Trump. Don't really run on policy because the policies have been popular. The tax cuts are really going to start humming, and just make it about his style
It'll be
and
about him.
his character.
Yeah, that's right. Every midterm is a referendum on the party in power. So the Republicans have their work cut out for them. But he also gave a bit of news today. President Trump saying he's going to return to Sacone's district. He's going to do a rally, and I imagine that will probably help a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's going to get after it, and he's going to work hard because, you know, this is part of his legacy, too, and his ability to campaign and maintain influence and be able to get legislation passed that he promised the electorate, the working men and women across this country. But look, I don't think in any way, shape, or form the Republicans aren't going to work very hard to try to win. They know that they're up against it, like you said, because it's usually a referendum. So the Democrats are the ones that should worry because they should not take any of this for granted.
Yeah.
You know, that's a district that lost its Congress. The reason they're having a special election is because Tim Murphy had that whole issue with the mistress and the abortion stuff, right?
Yep.
And so now
that was the one.
Yeah. So now you have as a rural Republican conservative district, and they're looking and they're thinking, well, gee, I wonder what's going on. Of course, Donald's in the news with his porn star. I wonder if that affects things. At some point, does the evangelical community in this country say, oh, my God, look what we are supporting? This is unbelievable.
I predict that they won't.
Yeah, in other words, that they'll buy into this, oh, we'll just close our eyes and we won't be so evangelical. We'll just take whatever we can get. Come on, I just think I don't understand.
Well, we can do that another day. All right, is there a mansplaining double standard in Congress? We'll explain that one when the 5 returns.
70